It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized in this. Get right on it, Chief.
But Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have 'em some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight...
Is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody crabbing out there. Nobody... That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Free!
Call in now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, or what's left of him after some years in NFL, politics, 8 years as mayor. Not much left, but what is left is here with you today, and just tickled to death to be here, and so honored and humbled to have you join us on Big Monday here. If you've joined us from listening to the Dan Bongino Show, you know, you notice the difference in little style. You know, the mile a minute Dan, love him. A lot of good points. He's just, but if if shows were coffee, Dan would be double caffeine espresso, and I would probably be a little decaf for half the caffeine. I might start the show out just talking about the weather. 97 degrees. I thought summer was over, Jeremy. Dadgummit, it's 97 degrees at the end of September. It's supposed to be 95 tomorrow, then it's supposed to cool off. Yeah, right. I might even show you pictures of my grandkids. All that exciting stuff that you tune in for. It's, I've said it before. I enjoy this hour so much, but it is, as they say, what it is. I'm not going to try to be anybody other than myself. I've tried that in life. It just doesn't work. But, we got Autry's Army out there, and our little band, our little engine that could, if you will, seems to be growing day by day. And if it never grew another person, I'm just so thankful for the listeners and viewers I have. You guys are great. You're smart. You're engaged. You care. You have a heart for people. Dadgummit, it's just, again, I know I say this a lot, but we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed our next breath, much less tomorrow. And I tried to get this through to my son of just enjoy the process of life, because you will go to bed at 23 and wake up at 70. That's how quickly it goes. And I look back on it, and some of my regrets I do have is I just didn't enjoy the process as much. God's in control. Do your best. Let God do the rest. That's why I like to end every show with that hopefully optimistic saying, because it's not a saying. It's the truth. It's the way to live. It's, I think, the pathway to at least the greatest level of peace you can get on this earth. We're not going to have complete peace till we're with our good Lord in heaven. We're in our perfected body, and hallelujah, can't wait for that day. But Lord, keep me here as long as you want to. I'm enjoying myself with my family and doing this show. But again, I get some emails to like the show, some don't. And why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm always up for suggestions. Don't get me wrong. I think that's one of my strengths. I listen to people to improve on the things I do, whatever that may be. And it's kind of a lead into one of our subjects today in the second segment on this phenomenon called quiet quitting. I don't know if you heard about it. We've talked about it a couple of times on the show here, but it is not a good thing. And it is a very, very dangerous thing. It is more contagious than COVID when you let it get out of control, this quitting thing. But first, let's do a few little top of the show things, what's out there on the moment. Trump, okay, you got the judge he wanted. You got the special master that he wanted, and the judge that he wanted to be that special master. And this judge is, he's requiring some things that I don't think are out of bounds. And even if you're the most ardent Trumpite, that one of those that, Trump even said he could go out and shoot somebody and he'd still have these people supporting him. That's loyalty, but people have same thing on the left. You have the Clintons, you have politicians over there on the left do the same thing. And they would have people rationalize that, the guy had it coming or what have you. But this judge has said, okay, President Trump, you say you have, you've declassified these documents, so I need to see proof of the declassifications because it's in the arena of the courts now. Okay, went to Judge Cannon and said, hold on, DOJ, you're moving too fast. You got to make the morning last. Looking down the cobblestone. No, that's a song. You got to slow down here. This individual has rights. There's a lot of gray area here. It's not just cut and dry, Mr. Garland, as you say it is. We know there's a little bit of ulterior motive with you. It's clear. You want to put this guy behind bars. Just slow down. We're going to do this right. That was Cannon. And it was in response to Merrick Garland having a problem with President Trump, former President Trump, requesting a special master, meaning simply an outside set of eyes that was capable and credible and reputable to look at all these documents and say what's classified, what's not, and what is protected by executive privilege with attorney-client privilege, all that stuff, to go through this stuff. A very big job and very, very important because there's a lot hanging on this thing, unfortunately. And so this judge said, we're going to allow the special master. Well, that was a so-called victory for the Trump people. Then they requested this judge And Cannon looked at this judge and said, okay, you want him? That's Mr. Deering. And now, again, this judge has said, we need to see some proof on some statements that you've made, that you did declassify them. Where are the papers, the documents, whatever, that say you declassified them? You say many of the documents are attorney-client privilege. We need to see some proof of that because the issue now has moved from, the court of public opinion into a real court of law. And of course, the statements that you've made in the court of public opinion now are going to have to be proven in a court of law. Well, they're balking at that. They, meaning the Trump administration, the Trump people, you will, said, no, we don't want to do that. So it's, in fact, in an interview you had with Sean Hannity, he made the statement that I can declassify these documents by thinking about declassifying them. I thought I misheard that. I looked up on the internet, and apparently he did say that. I guess, you have the psychotherapy separation of powers, in there. Anyway, you can't, obviously that's a non-starter. I don't know where he came up with that. Give him a mulligan. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to watch how this unfolds. It could exonerate the president if he can prove these things that he said before it got into the court system, or it could be a real blow. And I know it still goes back to, should he even be in this position? Should they even invaded his home? All that stuff is true. But the old saying politically, we are where we are. We can't go back and undo that. However egregious it was, unlawful it may have been, it's out there, and it's going to have to be dealt with. So we'll just see how that happens. Okay, we'll be following that story. And the hurricane, have you been hearing about that? That's brewing over there and off the coast of Florida. Hurricane Ian looks like it's going to grow into, into possibly a Category 4 hurricane. And Category 4 means it's a whopper. It's a big one. People die. Property is destroyed into the billions many times with a Category 4 if it hits at the right spot. I went down after Hurricane Katrina. I was mayor of Fresno at the time, but I was born in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. And when the Katrina hit and after it settled down and all these folks were in the shelters, I took a official trip there, and brought back a couple of hundred people there and resettled them, and that wanted to come back and resettled them in Fresno. No, I didn't put them on a bus and just ship them here without asking them, or on an airplane like Biden's doing. I asked them and our community, most of the people in the community, with a few exceptions, and their gripe was, well, who's going to pay for it, this and that. And my position was, look, in the United States of America, when you have a tragedy like this, you have a hurricane hit like Katrina, you just erase state lines. There's no such as state lines. We're all in it together. Those are our brothers and sisters in Louisiana. And I reminded folks here who are my critics, and there was more than a few actually, that says, hey, you can't bring them here. Social services is going to cost the same arguments that are made that may be rooted in some merit, but I felt the positives and the right outweighed the negatives, and it was the right thing to do. And I reminded people, you know what? You critics out there that are upset that I'm going to bring 200 people back, just 200, the San Joaquin Valley. I hope you understand that when that big one hits, a big earthquake that everybody's predicting, all the experts, and it will hit. And we have complete devastation, perhaps throughout this entire state, that people don't remember how callous that the San Joaquin Valley was during their time of need. So that was my hope. So that shut a few of them up. But anyway, it's a big one. Our prayer, and I tell you, it's going to be a test for DeSantis. He did really well by every measure, I think, and I think a lot of other people believe, during the COVID crisis and how he handled it. And if this, let's pray that the hurricane doesn't hit with the devastation that it could, being a Category 4, but if it does hit, and Florida has to deal with the devastation that it has in the past. If it's anything like Puerto Rico, my goodness, those poor folks got hammered by another hurricane. It's going to be a test. How he responds. Is he prepared? Has he had
Conversations with FEMA. Has he been able to reach out to administration that obviously he's at odds with? Biden don't like DeSantis. DeSantis don't like Biden. That's about as pure kind of language I can put it. And it is that. You can't flout it. They just do not like each other. How much, I don't know. Could be hate. You know, politics can take a dislike and turn it into hate overnight. But they're going to have to work together. So the big eyes on there. Again, we hope that hurricane is not as catastrophic as it has the potential to be. But if it is, we all have to pull for DeSantis. I don't care if you hate DeSantis, love him, left, right. You think he was showboating by sending immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, or you hate Biden and you think that, you know, you're still thinking about how we withdrew from or surrendered in Afghanistan. I get all that. But when we have a catastrophe here at home, you have to find it in yourself to push those things aside for that time and come together and work together and help people, help Americans, fellow Americans get through this difficult time. That's what America historically has done. Because we have never been historically this divided. You know, you're going to have some people say, okay, that's a red state. They get what they deserve. As callous as that sounds, that's how some people are going to think. Don't lift a finger to help Florida and DeSantis down there. I just shake my head because, like I said, I'm an old guy. I've lived through several decades and through the Vietnam War when this country's divided, but never when there was a national emergency, a national catastrophe, did the country not have the ability to put those things aside, at least for that time, that period of time, and help folks as Americans. So that's my hope. And then locally here, we're going to take a break in just a second here, but I'm getting some criticism. Actually, quite a bit, in my estimation, from some people that I would think would understand my position, that historically they've had an understanding of the position, but seem to some reason to have changed. And I can't understand why. I'm doing my self-analysis and looking at the issue. And let me just tell you what the issue is. The issue is crime. All right? I believe in hammer and hope, dealing with criminals. You have a hammer in one hand saying if you choose to commit violent crime, the system, the community will come down hard on you. If you say you've got out of prison, you have a long rap sheet, and maybe even some violent actions, but the parole board has seen it fit to parole you, and you come back to the community, in this case, Fresno, but I think this applies all over the country, and you choose to go back to doing the same things that got you in trouble, that got you put away, you will, again, the hammer's going to come down hard on you. But if you choose to come back and start anew, and you swear to not do the things that got you in trouble, and you back that commitment up with actions. You go get a job. You get addiction counseling if you need it. You make amends with your family. You go to work and you start paying that back child support. And I know I'm speaking in this case particularly of men. You do those things, then the city of Fresno will help you. Everybody falls short. Everybody sins. My goodness, David in the Bible who describes as a man after God's own heart. David was not perfect. He was an adulterer. David was a murderer. He killed Uriah the Hittite, one of his best friends in his inner circle. He had an affair with his wife, and he was so drunk with politics and how he would be perceived, he signed Uriah's death warrant, sent him off to war. Uriah there protecting the king, being a dutiful servant to his friend and his king, and he kills him. But David had remorse, deep remorse. He spent the rest of his life trying to make up for that. He couldn't his own conscience, but God forgave him. But what's happened is we've confused second chances and mercy and empathy for entitlement and enabling. In this case, I'm talking about criminals and violent crime. Here in Fresno, a couple of days ago, we had a little girl, a teen mother, who'd given birth to a little baby. I don't know if the baby was a girl or a boy. The article didn't say. Teen mother decided to have her baby, 3 weeks old. Somebody went to the house and killed them both. Killed them both in cold blood. Now, there's a massive manhunt out to find this individual. And here's where I stand on this. If they find the individual, I don't pray that they have a shootout and he's shot dead. I'm not one of those. But I do believe in justice. And justice needs to be served here. That you bring this individual in, if he is convicted, he or she is convicted of this horrible, horrible crime, they should be put away, never to leave that prison ever. You have no pathway. I don't care if you become the second coming of Nelson Mandela in prison. You do not set foot, in society outside of that prison again. Why? Because all crimes are not the same. There are crimes that are more egregious than others. And how more egregious or horrible, more evil can you get than the crime I just described? It's hard to even talk about. But criminals like this are being let go through the no cash bail situation every single day. The criminals are let go and the victims are being punished. It is a bizarre flip-flop in this country, and you shake your head saying, how in the world did we get this? Get here. Alan, you just described an anomaly. That doesn't, I'm sorry, I wish I was talking about an anomaly. You have a 41-year-old man in North Dakota mowing down in his SUV an 18-year-old kid because the kid said he was a Trump supporter. And this guy says, hey, I want a lighter sentence, so I'm going to say that he was a Trump supporter. He deserves death. After all, he's a semi-fascist. What do fascists do? They take innocent lives, so I'm going to mow this semi-fascist down before he can kill anybody. So let me go free. Now, I do believe that he was let go on this no cash bail thing. I believe. I may be wrong on that. The problem is, my point is, this country, in terms of crime, better get its act together. Especially you mayors and police chiefs of big cities. We had Chief Dyer on here. He gets it. Quite honestly, I expect more from him, and I think we're going to get more from him. He's a former police chief. He knows what happens when you let this epidemic called crime get out of hand. The crimes don't get less. They don't get less in their horrifying nature. It's like people try to outdo each other. You know, and just 2 days ago here in Fresno, we used to never have these type of things. 4 youth got in a cop car, went on a joyride. You know why they did it? No, they stole a car, wasn't a cop car. The cops caught them. One kid started running, 4 kids on a high-speed joyride, putting people in danger left and right. And you know why they did it? I'm going to make an assumption, but I think it's rooted deeply in common sense. The reason they did it, they knew they could get away with it, and they were going to get a slap on the wrist, if that. And the slap on the wrist was going to be with maybe 2 fingers, probably one. It's not even going to leave a mark, that slap on the wrist. But you know what? They're going to go viral on social media. They're going to get a lot of likes, a lot of shares on that. And you know what that is? That's cool in that world. It's cool to be a criminal. It just is. You can't a society cannot allow criminality and criminals to be cool and the law-abiding citizens to be squares and that need to just bear the brunt of that coolness and live in a reign of terror by these folks. But you have a system now that protects the criminal, coddles the criminal. You know, maybe it's my industry that helped with this, the movie industry. You know, maybe you know we didn't make enough movies about how prison really is. You know, I mean, you look back all the way back 60s, Cool Hand Luke. All those guys in that movie were nice guys. They just got railroaded. They were just made a few mistakes and, you know, in life, but they're actually really good people. Let them out. Cool Hand Luke, George Kennedy, all the guys around him. The evil guy was the warden, played by Strother Martin. Remember him of what we have here is failure to communicate? He's the evil one that keeps the bad guys locked up. You go back to the Shawshank Redemption, Timothy Robbins. Well, people, I guess, on the left seen this movie. It's a great movie, but they've seen it so many times they think everyone has been railroaded. They've been framed. That everybody in prisons, you know, Morgan Freeman and Timothy Robbins. You look at the Green Mile. You know, all the inmates are just good people. The poor old the prison guard, they're always the one beating people on the head because they like it, they have fun, and the wardens and everything. And I'll never forget what a judge told me here in town about this very subject. He says, Alan, you understand this. The society's been fed a bill of goods. They think there's people studying in San Quentin, in Corcoran Prison, some of the worst prisons, because they sold a couple of baggies of marijuana. They were users and they went to prison and they're serving 20 to life. He says that's an outright lie. He says, and I'll never forget this, he says, Alan, you have to earn your way to prison. You really do. System's set up there to give second, third, fourth, and fifth chances, and that's the way it was before 3 strikes are out. Now they've neutered 3 strikes because they're giving the judges discretion, and all these sheriffs have been supported by George Soros, like the sheriff in San Antone and the DAs. They don't prosecute anybody anyway. But there's one thing that will turn a country inside out and turn a country in a bad direction. And that's when you let crime out of control. Just look at history. The Nazi Germany came to being because in the Weimar Republic, which preceded the Nazi regime, you couldn't put anybody in jail. Mothers, grandmothers were afraid to walk down the sidewalk to buy a loaf of bread without being mugged. Criminals were everywhere. The liberal policies had run so amok that crime controlled everything. And what Hitler did, he said, I'm going to make it safe for grandma to go get bread. I'm going to make it safe for you to walk out of your house and enjoy Stuttgart, enjoy Munich, go to the play, go to the art. Hitler loved art. Pretty good argument to make. You're scared to death. You think you're going to die in any instant, and I'm going to make you safe. But there's a little catch. I'm the devil, and you got to make a deal with me. You got to give me all your freedoms, and you got to do whatever I say. Called fascism. And those people made that deal. And they were not the first society that did that. You can go look in history, and maybe that's why the woke left wants to destroy history. They don't want you to know that, because they feel if they take control and they dominate, no matter how much chaos is in there, you'll become dependent upon them. And the little scraps from the table that they give you, because that's the only place you're going to find a place to eat, that's the only place you're going to find safety, is when they turn the whole country into a police state. Don't kid yourself. That's the ultimate aim, one of the ultimate aims of the Marxist regimes, of which the woke left was birthed from. All right, we went a long way here without a break. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this thing called quiet quitting. And it actually has a connection to what we're talking about right now. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be right back. Boy, folks, you've been watching what's going on over in Iran. My goodness, this young lady, Masha Amini, I believe is her name. She got thrown in prison or in jail by the morality police. I guess that's what they actually call them over there, the morality police, for wearing her hijab. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Their headwear wrong, and was taken in, and she died in there in police custody. And the explanations are not flying with the public there. So it's the 10th day that they've had some rioting in the streets. People are getting killed over there. The police are opening fire on them now. So, people are, as Jim Morris said, people are strange. I think we're born with two competing desires inside of us. One desire is to be taken care of. We want somebody to take care of us. We're scared of the world, big old bad world. And then there's the other side, or the other force inside us, that wants to be free. And they're constantly at tension with each other. And I don't know if either one ever goes away inside an individual.
1 minute.
When we're in heaven, we will have everything taken care of. I believe we're going to work in heaven, but those type of dilemmas inside our soul won't be present there. But until then, that's at play. And over in Iran, very compliant people, very scared. The Ayatollah, I'll take care of all your needs. When you do something like this, take away their freedoms, in this case, take away their life, the ultimate thievery of freedom.
30 seconds.
They've had enough. They're standing up. God bless them. Because regimes never change from the outside, it's from the inside.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry. No retreat. Midterms right around the corner. Laura, hang on there. We'll get that Hurricane 8 update. I just saw you up on the screen there. But I just saw a quote from Herschel Walker in the, yes, that Herschel Walker of football fame. University of Georgia, Dallas Cowboys, great player, great guy. I've had the privilege of meeting on at least 2 occasions. Really nice, amiable fella, smart guy, and he's in a hotly contested race with this fellow Warnock in Georgia, and many think that the balance of the Senate could ride on which way that race goes. And I think they're probably right. But Herschel's just... he is who he is. He's never claimed to be, this really well-spoken, slick guy. Warnock, on the other hand, he is Mr. Slick. So they're going to debate, and most people are thinking that Warnock's going to get the best of him. But it's really, really tight, the race. But I just looked up. Herschel Walker had a great quote. And I'm paraphrasing just a little bit. But he says, I'm not the greatest politician. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But I know how to protect my family, and you're my family. speaking to the people of Georgia. Man, that is a great quote. That goes to the heart of people. That's what he understands that probably Warnock doesn't quite get as much, if at all. It's going to be a very interesting race to watch. Hey, Laura, are you there, dear? Miss Fisher? Mrs. Fisher?
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Just real quick question before you get us an update on the hurricane. What do you think about that? What's going on up there in Iran, and the lady saying, enough's enough?
I'm all for it, but I'm very, very worried for them because they're blowing them away, whether they're protesting or not. I mean, people, women and girls just being out on the street, period. They're killing them. When I think about that, though, I know exactly what you're saying. But, I can remember a time in this country where the words, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, were not just words that were uttered rotely or mindlessly, but were sacred principles that were worth defending, and if need be, defending with the full measure devotion one's life. I grew up, that World War II generation. If somebody tried to take that from us, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and control us and be a dictator, I would have died fighting that. And I think we're seeing something maybe in Iran, oddly enough, that we may have lost here in this country, because they know what they're willing to die for. Those young women out in the streets, freedom. Do we really even have, Laura, things that we're willing to die for? A buddy of mine the other day goes, man, I live to play golf. I hear that. I live to go to the movies. I live to do this. I live to do that. A lot of things to live for in America. What are you willing to die for in America? In America, what are you willing to die for? And are you here? Crickets. And we used to immediately, I'd die for freedom and liberty for my kids and grandkids. That's why those people that got off the boats, and I knew when Charles Durney, great actor, we used to talk for hours. On Normandy, he was one of the lead guys, Saving Private Ryan. He was one of those guys that got out of the boat, dodging lead, going up on the beach. And he knew, I said, what made you do that? He said, well, first of all, it was my job. And he said, second, I did it for my kids and grandkids. I thought I was going to die. Eisenhower told us, many of us were going to die. I thought I was going to be the one. I was the first wave. I did it for my kids and grandkids that I didn't even have then. And I understand. I say that. I go on that rant. Say, I get those young women. I understand them. And I'm not sure in America if we're not losing that. So anyway, just about the hurricane. Biden and DeSantis have already spoken.
Good.
The president's has already declared a state of emergency for the entire state. FEMA is already
good.
Federal FEMA is already
good.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. DeSantis, he pulls his idiot stunts and everything, but when it comes down to the real stuff, he does what he needs to do. I mean, like when that condo collapsed, he was on the phone with Biden in 4 hours, and Biden had people on the ground 2 hours later.
Well, I'm going to say something right now. It's always going to get me it gets me in trouble, but I don't understand it. I really do. Well, I understand it, but it's so stinking silly. What I'm about to say is going to get me in trouble with about half the country. You know what I'm going to say? Good for Biden. Good for Biden that he moved quick, that he responds to DeSantis during this hurricane. Good for him.
Within 1 hour of them hanging up the phone, DeSantis had the written state of emergency order from the federal government and was told that all resources would be made available to him.
Why does that make us feel good, what you just said? And pretty much 90% of the parties, that's why I'm an independent, it makes them angry. It doesn't fit in their narrative on the left or the right that you have really a beacon of, a lightning rod on the right in DeSantis that the woke left just despises, and Biden, a lightning rod that the right hates. We're able to get together and do something right and probably, assuredly save lives. There and forth. Well, yet you instead of
Chris Christie for thanking Obama for helping him with Hurricane Sandy.
Laura, that's my point. Why isn't Mitch McConnell? Why isn't Cory Bush Why isn't Hillary Clinton? Why isn't Barack Obama? Why are all these people saying, way to go, DeSantis and Biden? Why is it us on a little radio station saying it? They should be saying it. But you hear nothing like that. That's okay, they're working together. It's never going to be a lead story on CNN or Fox. Biden and DeSantis work together.
As long as they're divided, nothing gets done. Everybody gets to fill their own little hate-filled agendas on both sides. As long as we stay divided, they don't actually have to do their job.
But Laura,
the second they start coming together and we start putting all of their feet to the fire, all the stupid wokeness is going to stop. All the space lasers in California are going to stop. All the insanity will have to stop, and they're going to have to do their job.
You know, you're absolutely right. Sadly, it sickens me, but you're right. But I'm you know,
the other side will go, oh, here, hold my beer.
Can't you do? But can't they do it? You know, I know I'm living in a fantasy world when I say this, Laura, but can't the right and the left, CNN and Fox in this situation, just one time lead it with, hey, they're working together. We should all be happy and pull for them. I mean, I feel like I feel like the Austin Powers thing. Throw me a freaking bone. Throw us independence people that really care about America a freaking bone and have it be the lead story on your freaking TV stations just once. Just once.
CNN reported it yesterday. They had it on there all day yesterday, saying that the DeSantis administration had already talked to the Biden administration and that state of emergency. I mean, they reported it all day yesterday. They reported it today, too.
Yeah, but here's my point. I understand that, but that's more sterile. I'm talking about the CNN talking heads on the shows. Don Lemon, what's his name? Jake Tapper, and you have Hannity and Tucker Carlson. Why don't they get on and really dissect deeply, saying, you know, here's an example of both parties working together, and let's discuss the good that can come out of that. Not just, well, we got to report it, or we're going to look conspicuous if we don't report it. Both sides, well, we got to do it. Being so reluctant rather than eager to show the people that, hey, there is some hope in America for these two parties to get their freaking act together and work together.
Well, I think maybe they may. Eventually, I don't know. I can't speak for that, but I know right now what they're trying to basically do is just get information out to people. You got to understand, we have 1 million new people living here who haven't been through a hurricane, and let me tell you, the dumbassery has been showing all day. I mean, these people are losing their minds because I'm like, honey, no, we're going to get tropical storm winds. Go to the liquor store, get you some tequila, get you a couple board games, make some margaritas, get you little sandbags, and you're good.
Hey, listen, well, I'm gonna have to go to the break here. Thank you for the call, but answer me this, or if you may not want to answer it. Would you ever consider running for office there in Florida?
Oh God, no, because throat punching is frowned upon.
Hey, just wait another year. That'll be allowed. That'll be part of the political discourse.
Once it is, I'll throw my hat in the ring because I'll be beating up everybody.
Anyway, I tell you, somebody ought to scoop you up and put you as one of their lead advisors, though. Laura, thank you so much. We got to take another break here. We'll come right back. We got our last segment on this quiet quitting. God, I even shudders even thinking about that. Ugh. We'll be right back. Oh,
the intro's a little long on that one.
You got to sort of start with old Ray. Oh, Jeremy.
I got to trim that one.
He did it as long as he could, though. He did it. I was waiting for old Ray. There's nothing like Ray coming in with that. America the Beautiful. Oh, God. Folks, I know I went a little emotional on that and a little angry. But hopefully, I was talking to my wife about this the other night. There is a thing in the Bible called righteous anger. I hope that when I do get angry, it comes out of a righteous state of heart, knowing full well that will not always happen because I'm human, probably more human than most of y'all listening and watching right now. But certain things, and I know a lot of you can relate to this, and some of you You can't. We're going to talk about this quiet quitting. People of my age, I guess you're supposed to quiet quit. You're supposed to say, well, it's going to be this way, Alan. This is just how it is. And you ranting's not going to do one thing about it. So, my question is, all right, so what? I said, now what? Well, what do you like to do? Do you like to golf? No, I don't golf. I like to this. I said, you know what? If I did, I'm just wired different. I care about this country. I love this country. This country gave a little poor kid, the old story. I've told it before, it's in my book. Only in America that I've seen did you have a system in place with all of its flaws.
1 minute?
That not just allowed me, a poor kid working the fields with two parents who never finished school, that I wouldn't change for anything. They're two of the smartest people I ever knew in my life. But I was just supposed to die out in those fields like them. That's my lineage. But this country gave me opportunities to live out dreams. If you work hard, play by the rules, you got a chance to do that. And that is special. And I just love this country. When I see it going down the tubes, by people just not working together, hating one another, it's
20 seconds.
You just, I hate to say this, but you feel like standing up and just giving them a little slap, both of them. Your top leaders, you just get your attention. So, snap out of it. Start working together. It doesn't mean you give up your principles by working together.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to the show. Jeremy knows it. See, I got triggered by my patriotism, so you give me a little Elvis, Falling in Love Again, to kind of settle me down, don't you? Yeah, okay. All right. That's better than taking a Xanax, I guess. Okay. How many minutes we got left here? Okay, here we go. This subject of quiet quitting. Have you heard about it? It's real. It's happening all over the country. Quiet quitting particularly at your job. And quiet quitting means that you don't do your job. It means you just do the bare minimum. You just do what you have to do to get by. You embrace mediocrity. You embrace the notion that extra effort is just a waste and is actually bad for you to exert any extra effort at your job. It's not good for you. It's not smart. So just figure out whatever job you have, what you can do to get by without getting canned. And that's the way you should approach your job. Thus the name, Quiet Quit. Don't actually turn in your badge or what have you. You just kind of quit on the job and nobody's probably going to notice. But I tell you, I had a discussion with my son on this the other day. When we were talking about it, he thought I was just talking about kind of entry-level jobs. Folks that work at Starbucks, people that work at grocery stores and that sort of thing. Now, they're included in this, but it's not exclusive to them. You have this quiet quitting phenomena all over the economic scene. Silicon Valley, working for Microsoft, and making a lot of money. That believe you should quiet quit. They're spreading this ideology. I think it's good. And I understand what the premise, you don't want to have your job own you. Okay, you don't want to make that the number one thing in your life. Well, that's, I agree with that. But that's, pardon me, is a bunch of hogwash. It's a bunch of BS. It's an excuse for individuals who have that lazy gene inside them to just justify not really working and doing their best at whatever it is they're doing. And I believe, and he said, where did this come from? I happen to believe it came during COVID, people working at home. Because I don't care if you have a boss at work. When you're not at work, you're the boss. If you're at home, you're the boss at home. Excuse me. You can dress the way you want to. You can take breaks whenever you want to, basically. You can, you can just open up a Budweiser and grab a little margarita and drink on the job. No problem, because, well, you're not at the place of work. You're at home, in your pajamas, a little 5-day growth there. And you might even have, over there on the computer, little social media games going on and playing a little, Grand Theft Auto in one hand while you're on the computer at your job. And you got used to being your own job, doing things your own ways. Then the pandemic lessons, and businesses said, you need to come back to work. When you come back to work, they didn't like being held accountable. They didn't like someone saying, you need to be here at a certain time and you need to dress a certain way and you need to have a certain behavior we expect of you, like giving an effort at your job. They didn't like that. I'm shocked at the number of people who didn't, but when you sit and think about it, how we have moved closer and closer to entitlement in this country and all of this stimulus money we gave people for free, you're saying, why should I really work extra at my job or excel at my job when I'm going to make the same amount of money here and I'm getting this free money? Why put in the effort? And that is something that's in a lot of folks, to take the path of least resistance, to take a path that's difficult, like to go to school, to hold down 2 jobs and go to school at night because you want to be educated. You know what that education is going to mean to you. You know what it's going to mean to your family. And you put in that extra work to excel. An example that's going to set not only for you and that thing inside you that appreciates an honest day's money for an honest day's work, and that feeling you get inside from doing that extra for your team, not just you, but for your team. There's too many folks out there now who they if they ever had it, they don't have it, or if they've had it, they've lost it. And I think that's what happened. There was some that had it. But the COVID thing, working at home, I feel is the big culprit behind this. But folks, it's dangerous to quit. It's indicative of a sin of laziness. Laziness is a sin. And here's the problem. When you quit in one aspect of your life, it's easy to quit in another aspect of life. Those old adages are really true. Quitters never win and winners never quit. I was taught when you start something, don't quit. If you start it, finish it. And I was also taught to do the best you can at the job. And this was by a farm laborer who really took pride in the borders he laid out in the field. If they were crooked, he didn't like that. Now, the water was still going to be out there and watering in between those borders, but he would see people that obviously just rushed through it, didn't care, borders all over the place. He wanted Joe Dude, he wanted bootleg, perfect borders. And we'd go on Sunday drives, and he would point that out to me. He'd point out a building he had helped build and how proud he was. Excuse me. And coaches and teachers reinforce that, to do the best that you can. And it's, again, the danger of this, if it grabs hold in society, it goes into, it leaves, it's not contained to just your job. It leaves that and goes into the other aspects of your job. It just does. Quitting is contagious. I said it before the show or right at the top of the show. It's more contagious than COVID to quit. Because, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to work. All that work, I don't have to do that. And then that whole ideology, that whole sickness of just doing what you need to do to get by. Can you imagine if your pilot of your plane said, you ask him, hey, did you go to pilot school? Yeah. Just, where'd you graduate? I graduated while in the class. And what? He goes, yeah, I just did what I needed to do. I didn't really want to learn all there was to know about this airplane. and about piloting. I just wanted to know how to get behind the wheel and how to push the lever and bring the landing gear down, and just what I needed to do to get my license. Would you like that? For the doctor, you're going in for heart surgery. You know, I said, what was your attitude in school going to med school? I just wanted to know how to open up a chest, and you stick a tube in there and sew it up, and how about all those other intricacies? No, I didn't have to learn that. I didn't have to learn all this other stuff the way you had it. I just learned what I needed to learn, and I didn't. Did you study at night? Like, try to become the best heart surgeon you could? No, I quiet quit. I still got it. So come on in. Let's break your chest open and see what happens. No, you wouldn't like that. About pharmacists filling your drugs. They give the wrong drug, you die. How about as a father? You tell your kids, this is as good as it's going to get as a father. I'm going to stop trying to prove as a father. Oh, you want a ride to your practice? Nah, not going to go because I'm enjoying watching Real McCoy's reruns here. Hey, I don't have to do that. I don't have to help you do extra. I don't have to sit down. Dad, can you talk to me? I'm having a little problem, school problem with a kid bullying me. Son, that's really not in my job description as a father. I'm supposed to go to work, get a paycheck, put food on the table, get you some clothes. It's in there. That's your mother's job. No, I've quiet quit, son. Okay, I'm still here as a father. You need me, but I'll only go so far. If he starts to be work, count me out. As a friend, you want to quiet quit as a friend? You don't want to try to be the best friend you can be? You see where I'm going with this. I'm being ridiculous, but you know where I'm going with this. No, we strive to be the best person we can be every day. The best father we can be, the best husband we can be, the best wife you can be, the best friend you can be, the best worker you could be. To be the best you can be is just something that God expects us to. He puts that in us. We're never going to be, and that doesn't mean you don't take some time to vacation and enjoy your job. You absolutely do. But please, I guess my point is don't buy into this quiet quitting thing. It's the most destructive decision you could ever make, is to buy into this quiet quitting phenomenon. Trust me. Don't do it. And we're running out of time today here. Tomorrow, I'm going to continue with this because quiet quitting has infected a very, very important part of our society. That thin blue line that separates us from order and chaos. And that's our police departments around the country. It's sad. It's dangerous. It's there. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Hopefully talking about it will help us get back on track. Because one place we cannot have quiet quitters, and that's the folks that put on that uniform every day, put on a gun, and go out and keep us safe from the bad guys. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you so much. When you hear that music, it's time to go. God bless you. And just remember, do your best and let God do the rest. And it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to be. Love you all. See you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday.
Happy trails to you. Keep smiling.